Okay, hi, my name is Deepu Krishna, and I wanted to make this video from a long time. Uh, Specifically, I thought that I would come out this video during the Teachers' Day because this entire video is upon teachers, and I belong to the group called as teachers, and yes, I've been in teaching for the past 15 years or so, and I'm not a teacher by choice, but it was quite accidental the way I started teaching. Then it became a choice to me because I had an option either to go for teaching or go for something else. But then I chose teaching because I thought that this is better. So that's how I stepped into teaching. So by profession, I have become a mentor. I teach students, and I'm also into the management of a university with I work with. So this is something which is personal. This is a video which I wanted to, as I said, I wanted to come out during the Teachers' Day, but then I thought it's not the right time because that is a time when we celebrate teachers. So there is a bit of a bashing also which I will do here. But then I'm trying to understand teaching and the evolution, or you can say the devolution of this thing which has happened throughout these times, as experienced by me, as seen by me, both as a student when I was in a school, then to a university, and then further the other side of the bench when I started teaching. So what prompted me to do this video was, uh, I remember it was the first time that I was acting as a parent and going to a parent teachers meeting for my son. So when I was walking to this school, I had a group of parents who were going ahead of me, and two of those parents were talking to their the child, their son, and where one of the parent exclaimed, "Chal, aaj teri teacher ko batate hain." It was like, let's see what she's up to, or I don't know in which context it was remarked, but it literally rattled me because I was like, "Arey baap re, aisa bhi hota hai." I'll tell you why. Because with me it was just the opposite. Because when I was a student, and if parents teachers meeting was happening, which has usually happened as a result day, I remember my dad used to give me a warning, and he was very specific when he said, "We're going, and dare, dare you that your teacher is going to say anything against you, you're going to have a tough time." So throughout the route, I would be praying in front of all the temple, churches, and mosques that Bhagwan bacha lena, whatever is going to happen, because that was a kind of a terror. And the teachers also were very clear on whatever they had to say. If I was wrong, they would distinctively remember, and they will pinpoint it and tell it to my dad, for which I was punished. I remember my when we were going, as in, as a death penalty convict would walk to the gallows. That's exactly how we used to walk to the classroom, and we used to witness other batchmates also, and we used to look at them and like, "Kya hua?" And they were like, "Arey, mar gaye yaar." So it was not just with me; it was with most of the parents during that time, that they had a very different perspective of teachers. And the teacher's word used to be final for them, that whatever the teacher is saying is absolutely correct, and they used to take it by the word of it. Like, teacher ne bola hai, sahi hai, it is absolutely correct. Now what has happened throughout these times, that we get to meet such parents also, where they are like, "Chal, tere teacher ko batate hain." It's like, "I'm going to go and handle your teacher, let's handle it together, and let's take her to task," rather the other way. And a lot has happened also, because during our time, I remember we were very afraid of our teachers because punishment was given to us, and we were brutally bashed up also. And believe me, I am someone who supports it. I think kids should be bashed up. It's not that I've grown up now, I don't need to go to the school, so I'm saying this. But I think that only made us stronger. I'm not in support of brutal bashing, like, sorry to have used that word. I'm not in support of brutal bashing where the teachers, go to the extent of torturing the student through inhuman methods. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is punishments and a, a kind of a scare in the mind of a student is very important. Why? Not just that it helps him or her to be a good student and be disciplined, but also it makes them stronger mentally. Very recently, we heard the ace cricketer, the legendary cricketer Ashwin, speak about that how youngsters should also be ready to face rejections, which is actually true, because they should be mentally strong to face such kind of rejections. Because when you do not expose them to such kind of a rigorous method, or else a teacher whose name itself scares you, or it's like it's her subject and you're like scared, oh my god, she's going to come, I need to study. And in case if you don't do it, if you don't do your homework, and then you get bashed up, it should not be taken into your heart at the school level, and you should not feel ki, oh my god, I've got insulted in front of everyone, the teacher has just bashed me up. I think there is a practice of rejection which happens there. Because believe me, I was a very average student. I was not the topper in the class. I was one amongst those students. Our batch, my group, was one of the most notorious also, I remember. So we used to be bashed up like anything. No brutal, assaults on us. Yes, it did happen during my time also. One of our, it was my mistake, I would say, but then the way he punished me was not right. I was very brutally assaulted by one of my, I would not like to name the teacher, but I was very brutally assaulted by that teacher. And I'm on very good terms with that teacher now, now after graduating from school. Now, I think that, yeah, I was wrong because a boy came running and told me that he is calling you. So which I thought, this guy is lying. Why would he call me? So I said, go and tell him I'm not coming. So that was bad, And then the tutor came in, and the way he slapped me was very wrong, because he slapped me and one of my eye, it got injured, to which my parents had created a lot of issue, because the injury was not something which was acceptable. So yes, there was an issue, and I remember the principal also took it up very, very seriously. There was no FIR or no human rights, etc., which my parents went into. They went straight to the principal and they said, this is not acceptable, to which he was summoned. And even the principal offered that he can be fired. That is what I've been told as a child, I got to hear. But my father said, no, I don't want that to happen. On the other hand, I just want to tell him that don't do such kind of thing, because if I do the same thing to your son also, you may also feel bad. Discipline him. I know he's a snob, but there is a way of hitting them. And so my dad was encouraging. He was like, you can hit him through a stick, hit him on his bum, punish him. I am the last person to say anything, because he needs to be disciplined and he needs to be made stronger. That was my father's attitude. And that was the attitude of many parents also, I remember. There were many of my friends who used to get bashed up by principals. So I belong to a Montessori system, a missionary school, where we had priests like fathers, we used to call them father, and they used to bash up like anything. They used to catch hold of one of our hands and they used to, literally make our bum the poster. They used to hit us like anything. But then, today when we think about all those fathers and all those principles, I think they kind of helped us to become stronger mentally, because all those bashings and getting insulted in front of the friends helped us when we went. So for instance, if you talk from my side, it helped me a lot when I went to a court, when I was practicing. And when I was standing in front of a judge who was so bad that he literally used to make personal insinuatory comments on me and say, "Kahan se aa gaye ho tum?" Blah, 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 blah. So had those things not happened to me, I don't think I would have been mentally strong enough to digest all those things which were said to me. Even my bosses, there were times when they lost their mind and they would scream at you. Not just that, rejection comes in forms of various things. In life also, you may feel rejections. Where things are not happening the way it should. You may face financial difficulties. Like I faced a lot of financial difficulties when I opened up my own business. The initial first 2 years, I literally had no idea where am I going. But then there was a kind of a strong will which I had in myself that no, things will be successful and I'll pave ahead in life. If you ask me from where that came, it just came from my schooling and the kind of discipline and the kind of hardships, I'll call it hardships, which were imposed on me during my school life, where disciplining and getting bashed up by the teachers and the kind of a scare which I had from teachers, etc., really did help me a lot. But of late, if you could see, there are so many suicides which are happening for students. Why? Because I think students are mentally becoming very, very weak. And plus, the parents are also supportive of all these things, that if a teacher even makes an insinuatory statement also, the student feels very bad, he goes back home, the parents will create an issue, and it goes into a totally different scenario. While during our time the scenario was very different. The parents were very supportive. The parents are like, if she's calling you an idiot, you are an idiot. You have to prove yourself, only then she will say that you are not an idiot. But with this, I will also want to play a devil's advocate and then move on to the other side and try to think why the parents have become like this. Now, not all teachers, but yes, there was a time during my schooling also. Teachers also used to have pets. Not all teachers, I'm saying. Most of the teachers were very, they were not prejudiced, they were unbiased, but yes, every teacher used to have their own pets and they had their own favorites. And now these favorites were all those students who were good in studies, who were like rank holders. So we had different sections. So every section had their own rank holders who were like the stars, you know. So I was not one of them, but I used to see my batchmates like that, you know. Oh, this guy might have done it. And teacher used to push him for everything good, but even for fests, etc. For debates also. I remember there were so many things which I could have done in debating, etc. But no one really came and even tried to ask me that, do you think you have it in you, or pushed me. It was not their mistake that they did not push, but I'll come to it later on, that what I'm proposing here. But no one literally cared. They only cared about those students who are already there, who are already good. They don't need that kind of a push or or a pull. They were already there and they're doing all those things which is as per a teacher's parameter, the best amongst that entire lot. We were around what? We were around 60 students, I guess, in the batch, and the students were good. So they were getting promoted. And we were a half which were never even cared about. We were like, theek hai, the class of the class, pad rahe hain, ye bhi pad lenge. So the class was divided into 3 parts: the best students who were like teachers' pets. Then we were there. Yeah, we were nowhere, as in we were not the top, we were not at the bottom level also. We were just managing somehow. And then we had students who were really poor. And those were the students who in every class would be the butt of all the jokes. They will be bashed up. They'll be bashed up very badly. And yes, even we used to laugh at them. He's getting bashed. So that was something which was happening. So I never thought like these when I was in school. But then when I started teaching, I started exploring that what exactly a class looks like and how a class has to be handled by a faculty or a teacher. So when I moved to the other side, I started having this feel that the feel which I had as a student should not be there in my class. So I had students who are brilliant, who are doing really good. But what about those who are like me, or who were like those who were like what I said, they're the ones who were not even looked at, but they were the focus only when it came to bashing them up or else insulting them or else showing to the class that, okay, this is how a poor student looks like. So when I started teaching, I started focusing more on those students. So I took it up as a challenge. I said, okay, this student is good. He's doing his best and I'll help him. But what about those? Is a student, can you say that, okay, a student is a fool? Can you say that a student is hopeless? Or is there a point from where you could go help and then declare that, okay, the student has no hope? So I started exploring that side. Now I'm disclosing this all because this was something which was done by me for the first 10 years of my life when I moved into teaching. So my prime focus always were those students who are not able to help themselves up, or who think that they're slightly dislocated inside a class, or they're trying to find themselves. I'm again saying they're not poor. I never call students poor or idiots who have, unless until he's purely an idiot who has no clue in his life. Even that student can be helped. So that's totally a different scenario here. So I started dealing with those students. I started understanding that what probably moves them. And I started understanding that teaching, as it is practiced in schools and everywhere else, is where a faculty comes, prepares a lecture, and he just gives his vision. So teaching, the word itself, I think, is wrong, where a person will come and he will just push his idea as he has understood a concept to the people. And he wants you to understand it from his perspective. And that may suit a student who's good and who adapts it better, but that particular way of communication, or that particular way of understanding might not be something through which the other students they will understand it. And how did I reduce this? Because I started preparing myself for those students. Because after the class, I used to sit with them separately and I asked them that, "Tumhe kya samajh mein nahi aaya? What were you not getting?" So then they used to give me their own viewpoints that, okay, this is exactly how I was not able to understand. What were you hinting here is something which is outside my school. So I did not understand. And then I started going out of my reach to start, to make them explain that, okay, this could be the reason why you are not able to understand. So let's understand it from this perspective. So I'm talking about a subject called as general studies. Okay, general studies, general knowledge, where when I was discussing about a particular scenario, or I say geography, when I was teaching geography to a student who knows geography from this perspective of the globe, he understands the globe better, quickly understands what I'm saying. But a student who has taken geography or who has been taught geography in a very boring manner will never be able to understand, because for him, Earth does not exist. The globe does not exist. So I used to sit with that student with the globe and explain him things and give him those perspectives from which probably he's able to understand. And believe me, this was very time consuming. So I was unmarried during that time. I had the liberty of going home late at night also. So I started investing myself in these kind of scenarios where there was a group of 30, 40 students. I still remember my first batch, which I taught in, whom I taught in Bhopal, with whom I used to sit till 11 o'clock in the night. And then, we used to understand from everyone's perspective that what they're understanding, what is their level. And then, believe me, I also learned a lot from them, because believe me, they had different other versions which I could adapt. So next year when I went to the class, believe me, I was going with a lot of other examples which I could explain. So what am I telling is, what am I trying to discuss here is, there is a big problem with the kind of education which is happening in our country, where a syllabus is created by an agency called as CBSE, which gives a specific syllabus and is pressurizing the schools to complete it in a given time. This pressure is moved from one corner to the teachers, who are being asked to do the same. Do teachers get so much time like me to go ahead and sit with students and do such things? No, they are not given such kind of a time, because with teaching, there are multiple other things also which many of the schools are involving their teachers into. The teaching that happens inside the classroom probably is the only kind of a teaching which the teacher is doing. While I think teachers are only supposed to sit and understand their student at least for 3 months. Whenever a new teacher goes into a new class, she should be given a liberty of anything between 1 month to 3 months to understand each student and the student's psyche. Now, when promoting a teacher also, there's a big difference the way teachers are being promoted. It's like the more number of better students you have in your class, the teacher is shown as, okay, great, you are achieving something. But believe me, it's not upon the good students that teachers should be promoted. On the other hand, how many weak students were able to come from, say, the weak category to at least an average or above average category should be the parameter through which a teacher should be promoted or should be seen as a better teacher. In coachings, so, I belong to not the schooling, the school teaching, but I belong to the coaching industry. In coaching industry, this happens better. And I'll tell you why. Because coachings have a target. They have a target of selection. And when it comes to selection, they need to see that every student inside the class is focused, and they also have a very focus or oriented approach on their students. Because the more number of students in a coaching, I have seen that this focus is not there that big. But yes, there are coachings which are doing really a good job. But there are coachings which have a large number of students, so they are not that focused. They are again focused only on those students who do better in life. So they create a different batch of them. They are pampered. They're given with extra timings, etc. But those average or below average students are often not regarded well. But in coachings, what I have seen is in coaching industries, the focus on those students is also there, because the selection at the end of the day matters, and it is basically the food and the fodder for all those people who belong to the coaching. So they want students to get selected. While in schools, it's basically that, okay, we had these many toppers from our school. That's the criteria which most of the schools have. it has to change. It has to change in such a manner where schools also are able to showcase that, okay, we have students who could not do academically better, but we have students who came in and then we transformed them and we were able to create that particular kind of a change. Now, how is this connected to what I was discussing initially in my discourse? When I started talking about making students mentally strong, etc. Now, what has happened is all those uh, students of my age who used to sit and witness this in a school, where they used to see that, okay, teacher had her own, favorites and her own pets, and she is only focused on them, not on, a student like me. These students have become parents. Now, they have a prejudice in their mind. They think and they believe in that the same kind of treatment is also being meted out to my kid or my child. So my child is good. He's just like me, but he's suffering because the teacher probably has her own favorites and she's focused. And believe me, that system is still there. Teachers do have favorites. And I say with pride that when I used to teach in coachings, I did not have favorites. I was more brutal to the best students because I thought to be more brutal to them brings out much better things in them. So, those students of mine who have been taught by me would agree to it, that I was one of those guys who was very harsh with students who used to top in mocks and etc. etc. I was like, no, this is not what you have done. You have to go national. You have to think national. At national level, there is nothing. But on the other hand, students who were not doing well, I used to sit separately with them, and I used to try to help them out by my own means. Now, if this process begins at school level, the kind of parents of my age who are now revolting and who at the slightest drop of a hat would go and protest before the school, things may improve with that kind of a feedback coming from the teachers end also. Because most of the parents still, I believe me, I'm not, as in we can run a survey and find out that most parents do believe this. And that's what I do keep seeing in the WhatsApp group of my son's parents group also, where parents are so, they are so possessive and they're so precarious about things that they know that they have that what we call as FOMO, fear of missing out. They're like, my son or my kid may miss out those things because the teacher may have his or her own favorites and he is not being taken care of because he is just like me, probably, that's why. So they will raise an issue, they will raise a lot of hue and cry. The pressure moves on to the school because there is so much of competition now at school level also, that schools are not even going into such kind of researches with the huge amount of students whom they have. I think it's for the school authorities to create a special task team where teachers are not involved and check at the school level itself how many of such students are there who could do better and who are not properly being taken care of or being given attention. And how many students have the capacity to do something else rather than just be academically oriented. There could be some students who are not academically oriented, but they have some other skills which even the schools can help to harness. Like I remember I had a friend who could not do academically well and he used to flunk in almost every other examination. Without naming that person, I can tell you that he is today at the vice president rank of a multinational company. And he is a slap on the education system and the schooling which we got. Believe me, because he was regarded as a nothing. But then, he had a skill. He could sell ice creams to Eskimos. He was very good in convincing. And that was one of those skills which probably no school teacher or even a counselor or anyone was able to find out when he was the student of that school. Similarly, when I was in university level, let's leave school level, I was at university level. I also did not knew that I had this teaching skill or I had this the skill to sit and convince people. And I could see many of my batchmates also doing things which are very different, which they had no clue. So schools, rather than running behind just the results and rather than just running behind to make sure that the toppers top well, have to upgrade themselves and have to start thinking about it, that let's because CBSE cannot expect anything. I am so disappointed with this agency called as CBSE. When this pandemic struck, they had no answers about how to conduct the paper or how to test the student. What are you doing? What form of research is CBSE putting into? That is my question. What are you doing? If tomorrow exams are not going to happen, don't you have anything else, any other idea? The problem is the bureaucratic approach which we have. And that is the same thing which has been happening with school educations also. Schools are hounded by stupid regulations that they are not able to experiment and come out with something new. New, like where they are able to say that, okay, studies, yes, there are studies. What about the persona of the student? What about the orientation of the student? Let a task force be made. The task force work is only to determine the type of persona that student has. So when we say every child is special, let's try to find out what is special in that child. That could be done by us, right? And that's where teachers can be involved, but let the teacher teach each kid in the manner in which he or she could be, could understand something. I was very bad in mathematics. Multiplication is that thing which makes you hate mathematics, believe me. But, it's very funny also when I discuss this thing with you, that when I was being taught mathematics, it's just like when the moment the tables were introduced, we were said, you have to just rot learn them. There's no other process. You have to rot learn them. Isko ratta maro. Iske alawa koi option nahi hai aapke paas. And then it took me so much of a time, as in I graduated, and then probably I was in the university when I found out that tables are not 1, 2, 2s are 2, 2 jar 4. That is how we were made to rot learn it. Rather, I understood that what the table says is 2 2s are 4. That means 2 2s are 4. And I had a funny instance when I was discussing this very fact that, tables are like this, 2 2s are 4 and not 2 2s are 4. And the person I was talking to was a teacher, and she was amazed that she also heard it for the first time from me, because she also has rot learned it. I'm very sure many of you also might now know it, that 2 2s are 4, are 4. 2 2s, 2 plus 2, 4. So that is what tables were all about. And I was made to hate them because I had to rot learn them, and I hate rot learning them. So when I now started seeing my son struggle in the same manner, and very recently I understood that I need to go to his level to make him understand things. I have started this experiment. Probably you guys can also start it, because I don't see any school doing it. I'm giving an idea to schools. There could be students who could be understanding these things, and there are students whose understanding level is not up to that. I'm giving you a suggestion. IPL has started. Cricket is like the craze in our country. You can use IPL, the scorecard, the average method, the strike rate of a batsman, the run rate, etc., to make sure that the kid remembers or takes interest in things like multiplication, addition, division, etc. Because when I started doing it, my son has started taking interest in the same. Now he knows the practical application of tables. He is in standard 4th. He's in standard 3rd, sorry, not in 4th. He's in standard 3rd. Now he started understanding that, okay, that is how it is applied. Now I remember that I could have not been a commerce student, but a math student. Had physics been taught to me using the concepts of a flying aeroplane, probably cars. So I have a best friend of mine who's interested in cars, who is so knowledgeable that he can beat, the technical knowledge of a car to anyone who has done an automobile engineering, but he's a commerce student. Probably he could have understood it better had the mentoring or had the concepts of physics been taught to him in that manner. I started seeing National Geographic Special and Animal Planet, etc. And I realized that even science interested me. But somehow I did not even understand. Somehow I did not even understand those things, because there was a blackboard in front of me, and there was a poor teacher who has been given a task to complete the syllabus. So she was struggling. She had her own psyche. She would come and she'll explain, and we had a group of good students who would understand it and who would say, "Bale, bale, we got it." And then we were looking at each other, and we will just let it pass. So there is a lot more which has to be done at the policy level also. CBSE, the government agency, there is so much of scope of research into where researchers should be sent to schools. You know, we are paying them handsomely, sent to schools, make them sit with the student and make them understand the pattern of learning, what hits students better, what doesn't hit students better, what is the level of understanding in a particular class, what kind of assessment or what kind of test should be taken. Only then you will be able to utilize teachers better. Now, selection of teachers also is such a funny thing in our country, believe me. It's like, you know, you have to just get a specific qualification and you're a teacher. What about the teaching aptitude? Even at university level, there is this examination called as UGC NET. I just took a look at the syllabus. I have met people who are UGC NET qualified, but they cannot even speak properly to the students in the class because it's just a parameter which we have taken up to test teachers, and then okay, go ahead and teach. You're not even seeing whether that teacher is a guru, is a guru. And that's where, I really love the concept of guru, because guru is someone who is much ahead of all these things. A guru is someone who would be focused on every student. And that's where you say that a guru is someone who brings a person from darkness to the light. And that is the level at which teaching should happen right from the schooling level, which it is not happening. And hence you see all kind of troubles in the society, right from the crimes called as rape to the crimes where some people are so much oriented by violence and religious intolerance that they move into terrorism. So to keep a check on all these things, I think these things are very important. I did not release this video on the day of, in the month of Teachers Day, because I think I'm not just wishing teachers, I'm also being a bit critical, but this is my thought process. I am not much old and I'm not that experienced to make some submissions. I may be wrong here also, let me be very clear. So I am open to criticism also, but this is what I feel and what I have experienced. So it starts from schooling and it should be taken to the level of university, graduations, etc. And that would make a just society, and teachers would become gurus rather than just be dummies. So that's exactly what I wanted to speak. I hope you might hear this and you might want to spread this word across, so you can also share it. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. If you are listening till here, that means you are really patient. And thank you for being that patient. Thank you.